Today we're going to take a look at the work of Charles Warren Eaton. He was an American tonalist painter, but he's also a painter of many different styles and moods. Charles Eaton was an American artist, best known for his tonalist landscapes. But about the time he started painting, the Hudson River School of painting was starting to become unpopular, starting to die down. And the Hudson River School had been around for about 40 or 50 years by the time Eaton started painting. And the Hudson River School was a tighter style, tighter brushwork, more detail, big dramatic landscapes, kind of grandiose looking, beautiful light filled. This is Albert Bierstadt. So you can see the strong light, the tighter brushwork, a lot of glazing involved in some of these as well. But beautiful landscapes. But by the time Eaton was painting full time, some American students had come back from Europe and they had been influenced by the Barbizon School of Painting, which is a landscape painting that was more tonal, not so much color, more intimate as far as subject goes, and looser brushwork. And this is one of Eaton's tonalist paintings here. He was known for painting pine trees. He was called the pine tree painter. And he would paint these pine trees and other trees too along the east coast or the eastern side of the United States. And these were generally bigger paintings. I don't know that was or this one. But we'll get to some bigger ones in a minute. But his style was really varied because he was influenced by the Barbizon School or the tonalists, really influenced by George Inness too. He and George Inness worked in the same building at the studio next to each other in New York. So he was good friends with him. But he was also influenced by Impressionism and Realism. So he had a lot of different styles. I mean, this looks like it could have been painted in 2014 with the bright, strong colors, loose brushwork, not necessarily impressionistic, but very realistic with some impressionistic tendencies there with the stronger color. But a great painter of trees, nice trees here, not a very good file, it's a small file. Great composition. I really like his composition and the way he handled trees. And his paintings were very, very moody. He had a lot of mood and atmosphere in there. Not as well known. By the time the 30s came around, he had quit painting because the market had just fallen out. I think he retired. I don't know what age that was, but moved in with his sister and I don't know, an aunt or something. But the market was dead. 30s, nobody was doing anything, much less painting. And it became really forgotten until recently. You can find a lot of his work everywhere, even for sale. The Brooklyn Museum in New York has a lot of his work. Next time I'm in New York, I'm going to go there because I really like his work. Again, very moody. This is more tonalist style. Very, very high contrast, strong dark and light. Very intimate. Nice brushwork, though. This detail down here and all this kind of winter grassy stuff. And then in the tree limbs up there, everything else very loose, soft-edged. It's another nice one. And he was part of a lot of the big shows in New York, National Academy of Design and Society of American Artists. He was also a founding member of the American Watercolor Society. Did a lot of watercolors. I didn't pick any watercolors. I wanted to stick with oils, but his watercolors are very nice too. And then you jump to things like this. Again, very modern looking, semi-impressionistic, but the colors are more vibrant. Almost looks like phthalo greens in here, but very vibrant color. Big, nice, simple shapes. His detail is always isolated in a few areas, like on the rooftops, a little bit in the grass. But big, simple shapes, and then back to more of a tonalist look. But great variations of greens Again, very loose brushwork. He really handled the brush well. Careful with the edges of these trees, not to leave them too sharp, but not too soft either. They don't look mushy, like they're made of mashed potatoes. They look like foliage against a brighter sky. Even though it's somewhat overcast, the sky is very bright, and the edges become really varied, not too soft or not too hard. Another nice, this doesn't look like a large one though, pine tree painting. But you can see he did these pine trees really big. This is one of them here. That looks more like a study size-wise. This is probably a bigger one. And this looks like Europe. He did go to Europe in the 20s, painted a lot there in Italy and France. It's Italy here. Again, very modern looking. You can see the tone of the canvas. Maybe raw umber or burnt sienna and blue. Toning or blocking in these trees with that, and then some opaque paint of the lighter greens on top of that a little bit, leaving a lot of the tone showing through, whether it's because he didn't have time to finish or he just left it that way. You can learn a lot from looking at his work, the different styles he used, the way he used the brushes, painted outdoors a lot, but then again did larger tree paintings in the studio. It's a real nice one here. It looks like a early Willard Metcalf. But nice variations of green from more of a viridian to a more natural looking green here, and then the yellow green with some burnt sienna or some warm earth color underneath kind of coming through in spots. So blocking in your painting thin with more darker, warmer, transparent colors. Then as it gets lighter, more opaque, he lets some of that tone showing through. Very nice. Really mixed greens well. Nice variation of green. His summer days don't look like it's all the same green, just different values of the same green. You can tell he's mixing different colors to get a variety of green. Not a great file here, kind of small, but I picked this one because composition is much more modern. Chopping off the trees like this was not common in the tonalists or the Hudson River. This would be, I think, a composition faux pas back then, but not so now. Now that we have camera, see different compositions, could have taken this from the camera because it looks like a snapshot from a camera. Another nice pine tree painting. And he had the nickname of the pine tree painter because I guess he did tons of these pine trees. There's another one here. Looks more like a sketch than a big one. It's a beautiful little painting here, very atmospheric, very moody. Again, everything soft in the greens in the foreground, in the middle ground, the background, hills, everything kind of bleeds into what's behind it, except for the flowers. The flowers are sharp-edged, lightest light, darkest dark, so they really come forward. Everything else being softer, that really sinks back into the background. Beautiful painting. Colors very harmonious. Again, another more modern-looking painting. Not really impressionistic, but definitely realism. Maybe realistic impressionism. Maybe more tonal. I don't know what era of his career he painted this, but looks more tonal. But again, great variation of greens. A nice handling of these trunks. Fairly detailed, but everything else is kept real loose. So you can focus your detail in one area, as long as you keep everything else really, really loose. Suggesting all these fallen leaves in the foreground really nicely. That doesn't look overworked, but there's enough dark and light accents to make it look like a carpet of fallen leaves. Then these things. Again, it looks like France. Night painting. Very bright, strong colors. Not a great file. It's kind of small. Great sense of light. And just like most artists of his era, especially the tonalists, by the time tonalism was not popular anymore, the artists were forgotten. But great sense of light here, the moonlight hitting the wall, and then you got the really warm artificial light hitting the ground down here. Probably more Prussian blue in the sky than ultramarine. Again, very nice brushwork, soft edges, darks real thin, and then laying these lights in real thick on top of the thinner, some transparent darks in there. Which is not a bad way to treat a landscape if you can lay your shadows in with transparent colors and keep them transparent, and then gradually build up your lights thicker and, of course, more opaque. It really has a nice effect on the depth of your painting. Another nice pine tree painting. Looks like somewhere out here in the Appalachians. Great job of trees and greens. Nice subtle value changes on these trees. The tree, of course, is an upright plane, so it can't be the same value as the grass or the flat plane. Of course, the tree trunk's such a light color anyway, but even within the tree trunk, the branches have to be a different value because they're going a different direction. They're catching light differently than the tree trunk, so they can't be the same value like they are right here. Most of the time, they're going to be a different value, so they stand out from the tree trunk. Last one here, a very nice moody sky scene. I would guess early evening, very tonal, very nice. Nice warm dark clouds. You know, it's easy to make everything cool, but in a sunset like that, the shadows and the clouds can get really, really warm. Eaton was a painter of many different styles, but always had a lot of mood in his paintings, mostly from values and edges, being able to handle those so well.